Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're totally tearing down this outdated idea that the criminal justice system is just, a bunch of isolated departments working in separate silos. It's really not. Instead, we're going to look at it for what it truly is, a massive, complex machine made of interlocking gears. And honestly, once you see how these agencies actually connect and turn together, the whole system makes perfect sense. Let's dive right in.
Here is our blueprint for today. We'll start with the justice machine as a whole, then break down the police's connections with the CPS, the courts, and prison and probation. After that, we'll test it all out with a real-world case study on Sarah's Law before looking at the big picture.
Section 1. The Justice Machine. We are starting our analysis right at the central hub of this entire operation, which is the police.
Now take a look at this split in police work. On one hand, you've got their independent duties. These are the things we typically associate with them, right? Enforcing laws, investigating crimes, arresting suspects, but their true momentum, that actually comes from their cooperative duties. Providing evidence to the CPS, transporting defendants, managing offender lists, they are basically the primary gear that turns all the other agencies.
Moving on to Section 2, Police and the CPS. Let's look at our first major connection and see exactly how the police gear locks perfectly into the Crown Prosecution Service.
There's a very, very clear boundary between these two agencies. The police do the groundwork. They're out there investigating crimes and collecting all the puzzle pieces. But they've got to hand those pieces over to the CPS. It's the CPS that actually evaluates that evidence and builds the prosecution for court.
So the absolutely crucial point to understand here is the flow of authority. The police don't just get to decide on their own who faces trial for serious offenses. No way. They must charge offenders strictly in line with CPS instructions. If the police send their files over and the CPS decides there's no further action to be taken, well, the police have to let that defendant go. So the information flows from the police to the CPS, but the authority to charge flows right back.
Section 3, Police and Courts. Next up, let's look at the transfer of momentum directly from the police to the courts.
Just think about the sheer physical logistics of justice for a second. The police literally drive the court process. They are transporting thousands of defendants to and from court and holding them in cells. And inside the courtroom, officers frequently take the stand as prosecution witnesses, and they provide crucial protection for vulnerable victims giving evidence. Honestly, without this physical, literal cooperation, the court gears simply stop spinning.
Section 4, Prison and Probation. What exactly happens after the trial?
Okay, so what happens after the gavel falls? An offender serves part of their sentence and is released on license back into the community. But if they break the rules of that license, who actually acts on it?
Well, here is a perfect step-by-step example of cooperation. First, the breach happens. The probation service, who actually supervises the offender, spots it and issues a recall to prison. But probation officers aren't the ones making arrests. They rely entirely on the police gear to execute the actual arrest and physically return the individual to custody. So, one agency monitors and the other enforces.
And you know what? That flow of cooperation works the other way too. Prisons actively help the police out. Prison staff facilitate interviews with inmates. So if the police are trying to solve an ongoing investigation and they really need to speak to someone who's already behind bars, the prison service cooperates to make that happen.
Section 5. Case Study, Sarah's Law, Joint Management. This right here is the ultimate proof of concept where all of these gears are turning at exactly the same time. Sarah's Law fundamentally shifted the landscape. It's a cooperative mandate that requires the police, the prison service, and the probation service to jointly manage child sex offenders in their local area. So they aren't just passing a file down a sequence anymore, they are working simultaneously to protect the public.
I want you to imagine these three agencies as interlocking gears constantly sharing data. The prison service knows exactly when an offender is scheduled for release. The probation service steps in to supervise their behavior. And the police? They're monitoring the wider community. Literally none of them can safely manage the risk without the constant daily input of the other two.
If there is one absolute takeaway you get from this explainer, it's the word cooperate. As the syllabus clearly states, the police also cooperate with the prison and probation services in managing the list. That cooperation is the literal glue holding the entire criminal justice system together.
Section 6. The Big Picture, Preventing System Failure. So, why does all of this matter? Well, because treating the police, the courts, the CPS, and the prison service as isolated silos just totally ignores reality. Think about it. If the police don't give evidence in court, the court fails. If the CPS doesn't evaluate the evidence, the police can't charge anybody. If probation doesn't notify the police of a breach, dangerous offenders stay on the streets. If the gears jam, the whole machine breaks down and the public is left completely unprotected.
I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder. Could a justice system truly protect society if these agencies just refuse to share their information? Public protection relies absolutely entirely on seamless cooperation between these hubs. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep looking for those connections, and I'll catch you next time.